Hi, you know what? It's so inspiring when young people get to find something extraordinary out of the most ordinary of occasions in daily life. And that's what Fishter is all about. So today, we'd like to hear our inspiring story for the week.
I think I don't have to emphasize on the importance of preparing for college entrance exams in fourth year, but it's already a given in society. I mean, the huge number of Philippine-based review programs are already testifying to how much importance Filipinos give tertiary education. And it's as critical as conquering the last year of high school. Probably even more important since, with your educational attainment and also with your school, it determines the opportunities that will come later in your life. And so for me, I don't know how was I supposed to feel when last summer when I was supposed to be taking review classes. I was obliged to take care of my grandfather in the hospital. The moral support that my parents have given to my older sister previously, the money that might have gone to my review classes, they were going to my bedridden grandfather, and I couldn't help but feel bitter. But I also felt pity and, of course, love for my grandfather. But I just couldn't help it since here I was expecting that probably I would be able to get the same amount of attention and focus from my parents. Since this is a very crucial time for me, an incoming fourth-year student. And now, looking back at the time that UCAT has finished, and I found it relatively easy, even though I was constrained to a June-July refresher class. Now, moreover, I feel guilt and resentment towards myself. But thinking about it, I think that my deceased grandfather, and also God, wouldn't want me to dwell on this guilt and resentment that I feel for myself. I think that probably they'd just rather have me to compensate for what I felt then through maintaining my grades since I'm in the honor rolls and trying my best to help my family in other problems. Because education can be forgotten. Education ends once those that are learned are forgotten. But moments like that, being able to help your parents, being able to take care of your grandfather when he's on his deathbed, that's precious, that's eternal, that's forever. And the only thing that I might have resentment for right now is that then I was ungrateful. Looking back at that time, I realized how I allowed my selfishness to get the best of me. That for me to hold resentment to being able to take care of my grandfather. In the Philippines right now, there's this growing threat that Filipinos themselves, they couldn't afford anymore to take care of their own grandparents. And for me to be able to experience that is very precious. I felt very grateful. As of now, I feel very grateful to be able to give a little help during his last moments in his life. Well, whenever I visited my grandfather in the hospital, I had to check at him because he was connected already to a machine which checked his conditions. And whenever that machine would alarm, I would have to call the nurse. At that time, I was quite nervous about it because it kept on alarming. If every time he coughs, that means that he couldn't breathe properly. And well, at that time, I found it troublesome because, well, I had to go back and get again. But at that time, perhaps I really felt genuine anxiety for his condition. Also, well, I had to. We didn't feed him. We didn't need to feed him because he was feeding on IV drips. But before then, we had to take care of him inside our home. And since we couldn't really give the kind of help that an adult could give to an elderly person, I tried my best to entertain him with stories and with, of course, giving respect to him and greeting him every time I come back from school, telling him stories of what happened in school, and, well, yeah, providing him a reason to be happy when he feels at pain. Well, there was one time that when he was already in somewhat coma state in the hospital, that I reassured him that if ever he gets well, we will go home to our ancestral house in Pangasinan, in Dagupan. And he opened his eyes to me, because then he was the kind of person that whenever he heard that he will be checked out of the hospital, he would quite react violently in some way. But for that one statement, he opened his eyes and nodded towards me. And all the more that I felt that I was thankful to be able to be with him by that time, since he really wanted to go home. He wanted to be where his deceased spouse, my grandmother, where she's resting, her resting place. And it was just unfortunate that he died in Manila. I was hoping that we would be able to at least take him once, even when he's in such a condition, such a critical condition. If we could only bring him back to Dagupan then, because I think it's very precious to him, Dagupan, I mean. He spent all of his years there, and it's very precious to him. Nothing can really take back what I felt then about bitterness, not being able to study as well as I wanted to for UPCAT. But what changed me when I took care of my grandfather, it gave me added motivation, added interest, because he was an achiever during his time. He finished mechanical engineering and another course in engineering as well. And I think the only gift I can give him now that he's gone is for me to show him that I can excel as well. And this is the only thing that I can offer to him and to God, since, he's gone already. And this is something that I can sacrifice as a student and perhaps also as a good member of the society. To my grandfather, I want to say sorry. I felt resentment even when that was already an important event in my life. It was a turning point that I lost all of my grandparents already, and that, well, at this moment in time where modernization is taking over traditions in the Philippines, I was really grateful that I had at least once experienced to take care of my grandparents, because that's something that life couldn't take away from me. That experience, that precious experience of taking care of someone who is in need.